afternoon. Welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Devan. Viewers, Srinagar seemed to have won over US Ambassador to India, Sergio Gor. In his maiden visit to Jammu and Kashmir, Gore took a shikara ride on the Dal Lake. He met with Chief Minister Omar Abdullah and made an impactful statement wherein he said J&K is an important part of India. What also stood out was his comment on tourism. Gore said that US could rethink its travel advisory for Jammu and Kashmir, saying Americans would like to come and witness the place themselves, and that makes for a striking contrast with what's happening in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, where residents have been protesting against the Pakistani government over political and economic issues. The contrast could not be more stark. Srinagar welcoming a senior US diplomat, showing off its tourism and talking about a brighter future, while across the line of control, people are out on the streets raising their voices against Islamabad's aggression. But that's really been the case, honestly, for the past 75 years. In fact, during recent protests in POK, anti-Pakistan sentiments have even been heard on the streets with slogans including Hindustan Zindabad. For Pakistan, this is clearly being viewed as a slap across its face. An American envoy in Srinagar calling J&K an important part of India and talking about more Americans visiting, while Pakistan continues to face anger and unrest in the very territory that it continues to illegally occupy. Let's quickly listen in to Sergio Gor's statement and what really is the impact, if any. We take that conversation forward with our guests.
Everybody here knows I'm the U.S. Ambassador to India, and this is an important part of India, and so I'm here visiting for the first time. It is an incredibly beautiful place, and so I'm thrilled to be here, thrilled to see this place. We just had a share with you is the United States puts out travel warnings, and every so often we reevaluate those travel warnings. I cannot make any big announcements here today, but it is something we're going to look at. New Delhi, the Chief Minister here, the government here, we believe have made some incredible steps to keeping this area safer and making it more safe. And so
all right, so there you heard it, those two strong statements that have come out of Sergio Gor's maiden visit to Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir. But what does this mean? I take this conversation forward. With me on the broadcast, Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat, Major General A.K. Chaturvedi, defense and geopolitical expert, Mr. S.P. Vaid, former DGP of J&K, and Mr. Peter Baum, international affairs editor of the weekly Blitz. Let me begin with Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee. Ambassador Mukherjee, ma'am, does Sergio Gor explicitly calling Jammu and Kashmir an important part of India signal any sort of permanent structural shift in Washington's position, or do you believe that this is routine diplomatic posturing?
Thank you, Devika. It has been the stated American position ever since I can remember that J&K is an integral part of India, and successive US administrations have always said that if there are issues, it should be resolved bilaterally. They are very well aware of the sensitivities attached to United States offering mediation. In this particular case, however, what is different is that you have an American ambassador who is very close to President Trump, who's gone there, who's taken a ride on the Shikara. That's by the way, for our foreign guests, is a ride on a special boat on the Dal Lake, and has said that he welcomes the development initiative. He wants more American tourists there, because I think that the American administration has understood that ever since we took the initiative to normalize and make J&K part of India, where funds can flow into J&K for development, where you have hotels, tourism, etc. And this is regardless of the setback in Pahalgam. The valley is booming. Tourists are there, foreign tourists are there, and if the Americans are reducing their advisory, that goes as an immediate signal to all other Western embassies here in India. So I think that finally, this is a clear signal coming from the Trump administration, from an American ambassador who is very close to Trump, that the situation in J&K is good, that it's developing, that it is showing the way forward through development. And it comes, Devika, please don't forget, at a time when the Pakistani army is perpetrating atrocities on innocent civilians in POJK, which is Pakistan occupied JNK, which is against the rules of war, which is against the Geneva Convention, and actually, which is something very tricky to tell a professional army like the Pakistani army to start shooting dead women and children, civilians, people of their own country, because a professional army is trained to defend its territory from foreign invaders, not from its own civilians. So I think once again, the POJK people too have seen the progress in JNK and they want the same. They don't want to be continuously governed from Islamabad, as has been the case right from day one. They want to have development and the same kinds of rights as our people in Jammu and Kashmir. So I think it's very significant, Devika. I'm glad we are having this debate, and I do hope the message goes out loud and clear that we want more people there, we want tourists, we want funds to flow in, we will build more hotels, we will bring back prosperity to our paradise, which is Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir has always been an integral part of India and will always remain an integral part of India. Thank you, Dev.
All right, Major General A.K. Chaturvedi, bringing you into the conversation, sir. I want to understand from your perspective, even though no promises have been made so far, but we did hear Sergio Gor make a statement that there is a possibility of a potential downgrade of the US level 4 travel advisory. Does that somewhere reflect, sir, then a genuine reassessment of Kashmir's security environment by Western intelligence? And what is this? What's the message that goes out to the rest of the world as well?
Actually, this clearly brings out from a state where it says that, I mean, it is part of India, but issues need to be resolved bilaterally. Now it says that's an important part of India, which is a very, very, you can say that it is a very, very major shift, A. B. Second thing is, which it says very clearly, is that they will consider it downgrading that security level 4, which prohibits, I mean, issues the advisory to American citizens to not to visit JNK. Now it has got a background. You know, on one side there is a slogan which is going on in Pakistan. ये जो वर्दी है इसके पीछे दहशतगर्दी है. And on the other side, that we are having that connectivity through rail, connectivity to air, educational improvement, power improvement, water is what is genuinely legally due to JNK, they are getting it, road connectivity and all those things which are there. So this clearly shows that we are considering them as part of us, whereas they don't consider them part of it. Because if you notice from that Neelam Jhelum project, the water is not reaching Muzaffarabad, it is going to Pakistan. So that is how they are not giving their water, they are not giving anything of them to them. The water revenue also they are not getting the same. So therefore, Americans also are realizing that if one can go in Dal Lake in Shikara, I mean, Mr. Vaid would also corroborate that. And I was there for almost 20 years I spent in JNK. Those days was difficult, but now it is very easily one can go into the Shikara ride and all. So which shows that situation is normal and it is good for them to come and spend time. And in this, there is a very significant statement which has been made by Omar Abdullah, when he says that whatever this issue is to be resolved, this is between, not through Washington, it will be between central government and the state government. And Mufti also said that we need to get this security downgrade so that tourism flourishes and it helps the local population to earn some revenue.
Yes, absolutely. On that note, let me bring in Mr. S.P. Vaid into the conversation. Mr. Vaid, does the US envoy praising local security conditions in Srinagar, visuals of him on the Shikara ride and visiting the various markets, somewhere validate the strategy of the ground forces?
Yes, good evening, Devika, to you, my co-panelist, Ma'am Ambassador Mukherjee, General Saab, and Peter. So, good evening to all of you and to your viewers. Yes, the statement is quite significant, but I think, though Ma'am Ambassador said, American position has been always very clear that it's an integral part of India. But we have heard statements coming out that sometimes the Indian occupied Kashmir, something like that. I think it is a significant statement saying that Jammu and Kashmir, he did not say Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, which is India's position, is an important part of India. I think it is quite significant, and I've come a long way. In last 25 years, I remember when I was DIG Jammu here, and we had a visit by US ambassador to Gore, and I was also guest there. So while interacting with the then ambassador, I don't remember his name now, he was just not prepared to listen when I was trying to brief him what Pakistan is doing here and how terrorists are being pushed in, how weapons are being. He was absolutely not prepared to listen to my telling him about Pakistan's role of terrorism, spreading terrorism in this part of the Jammu and Kashmir. So a long way, I think a lot of water has flown through, and it's a refreshing statement. I think we should welcome it, though it's an American position. But important thing would be to wait and watch, because he is not only ambassador of India, he's ambassador for South Asia and Central Asia. So tomorrow, I would be keenly watching, and I think my countrymen would be watching very keenly when he goes to Pakistan. And when Pakistan confronts him about this statement, how does he react them, and what statement? And I'm sure Ambassador Mukherjee will bear me out. Ambassadors don't use words without, each word is chosen before they speak, not like me, as a police officer, will speak whatever comes to our mind. But I think ambassadors are very choosy about every word. Another significant part of his statement was about travel advisory. I think that will be game changing here, because for many years, because of these travel advisories, because of serious situation here, we were not getting international tourists, particularly from America and other Western countries. And though he didn't promise, he said he will take up the matter with Washington. I'm sure something will come out. I think Mehbooba Mufti had also, before his visit, impressed about it. And I think Chief Minister must have also requested him for this, because that actually affects, tourism is a mainstay of Jammu and Kashmir, and it's a big industry, and international tourists are very important part. And his taking a joyride in Dal Lake actually sends a message. I think these views must have gone all across the world, and this will send a good message. And he's saying that situation has improved here. So I would like other American citizens to come and enjoy this beauty of Jammu and Kashmir. I think it is a very significant statement from security point. I don't think many people across the border would like it, and some people within this country, it may not be very pleasing to them, but then it's a very significant statement. It shows, and this is the first visit after abrogation of Article 370, and know Pakistan's views about abrogation of Article 370, what their Prime Minister and their General has been saying. So I think the America's ambassador visiting after 370 and making these statements are very important. This should go down very well. Yes.
Right, absolutely. Speaking of the world, let me bring in Peter Baum into the conversation as well. Mr. Baum, I have to then understand from you, how do you think global media or even Western capitals will really examine and analyze the US ambassador's very explicit endorsement of India's jurisdiction over J&K, which, as the previous panelists have explained, why is it different from some of the earlier times when the US has spoken on Jammu and Kashmir?
Yeah, good evening, and thank you for having me on. I think my fellow panelists have very eloquently explained the detail surrounding this issue. From here in the UK, I think the timing is quite significant. It's clear from a political analyst's perspective that the Trump administration are very upset with the Pakistani handling of as their role as a mediator with the Iran-US conflict. It's clear that Pakistan was duplicitous in allowing Iranian planes to be given safe haven in their territory, and Vance and others were very let's say displeased with the way the Pakistani handled their mediating role, which, let's face it, to the global media they were given plaudits, quite undeservedly so. So I think the Trump administration have shown that by endorsing, by ratifying, by confirming India's territorial, legal, political, military rights, economic rights to the area in question, they've made a very significant statement. And I think the timing is also significant because Pakistan have been under very great pressure in the last couple of days. We've seen in the UK, and I'm sure in other parts of the world, Canada for instance, the Balochi movement and their freedom campaign to segregate itself from Pakistan. We've seen the conflicts with border skirmishes with Afghanistan, and we've seen Pakistan's credibility. I think I'm right in saying they've just released from prison to hospital their former Prime Minister Imran Khan. So the timing, I think, is significant, and Trump realises that Pakistan are under pressure. It is such a significant statement that I think once and for all it confirms and ratifies that this particular geographical area is India's and India's alone, and hopefully will be for time immemorial. Now, the reaction from Pakistan's allies and from Pakistan itself, certainly in the UK, has been one of they've been bewildered, perplexed, and now that bewilderment has turned into anger, and they are trying to gather together their allies in an effort to challenge this statement from the US ambassador. And they will do that through the United Nations and through various alliances they have specifically with Islamic countries. So I think India should be prepared for a political challenge which I think will be very strong. There will be numerous nations condemning the statements of the US ambassador. But it is a significant statement. The press, the pro-Pakistani press here in the UK have been apoplectic. There is a major English-speaking Pakistani news channel that is rolling out speaker after speaker condemning the statement of the US ambassador, and I think we will continue to see this. So in the days ahead, I believe that we will be talking about this particular statement from the perspective of the challenge that India is going to face diplomatically, politically, etc.
Right, let me bring in Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee then back into the conversation. Ambassador Mukherjee, when we talk about a possible impact on Pakistan's strategic leverage, as they like to call it, in the region, how does this really impact that, ma'am? The fact that Washington, as you've also mentioned, the statement this time around has been differently worded and more strongly worded in India's favor. Does that have any impact given the current situation in Pakistan?
Of course, it has a huge impact. At a time when the Pakistani Supreme Court has ordered that Imran Khan should be moved to a private hospital because he is dying because of torture and without proper medical care, at a time when the Field Marshal has moved his entire family to Washington for safe haven there, I think the signals are very clear. The United States has understood that India is its most important strategic asset in South Asia and is moving back to its older position. Moreover, this is not just any old American ambassador. In fact, most American ambassadors to India have been very, very close to the US president to go right back into history. This is an American president who will not say what he said without clearance from Washington. What he has said is going to diametrically change attitude towards the present position. As far as our British guest is concerned, I'd like to assure him that India is very used to huge amounts of political and other pressure, diplomatic pressure put on us. We are actually, and I am a woman, we are all very tough cookies here in the Indian Foreign Service because we are used to being subjected to this kind of pressure without any justification right from the day that we joined Foreign Service. I joined at the age of 22, by the way. I am just saying that this actually is a very important gesture from Washington, which I am sure will be reciprocated by Delhi. But more than that, it's also a very important indicator that the United States has understood that it doesn't matter who offers to mediate. What matters is who has the credibility with both sides to mediate. The problem with Pakistani mediation was it has no diplomatic relations with Israel. How can it mediate when one of the most important parties to the conflict does not recognize Pakistan and vice versa? So, to answer your question, Devika, my answer is, I would say, it is one of the most significant developments which has happened recently. It is a very welcome development. It will be warmly reciprocated by India, and it will be warmly reciprocated as it has by Omar Abdullah and by the people of Jammu and Kashmir, because what we all want is the development of Jammu and Kashmir so that it reflects the prosperity of other parts of India. That is what people of India want. And on the other side, you have the people of POK watching angrily while they are shot upon and martyred for asking for the same rights as those across the border, an artificial border, because they are brothers and sisters separated for no reason at all. And they are all waiting one day for reunification, which surely will come. Devika.
Right, absolutely. On that note, I thank all of our guests for joining us on the broadcast to take this conversation forward. Major A.K. Chaturvedi wants to make a point, so I just have 1 minute left.
Yes, I just feel that this is one occasion our security forces will have to get ready for to face another problem. Pakistan will make an effort to show that things are not as good as Sergio Gor has been shown. So we can expect some kind of a problem from them, and security forces will have to be ready to take on this kind of a thing. Simultaneously, what Peter Baum has said, the diplomatic response will have to be very nimble-footed, so that we are not being able to say kind of short charge because of Pakistan's efforts.
Yes, Mr. Baid, I want to take this point with you, sir. I wish I had more time, but I wanted to take this up. That does the revision of the tourist guidelines somewhere create any sort of operational challenges for the security forces? And are we then, today at least in 2026, can we say that we are prepared?
I think things have quite changed on the ground, and we will be able to take care of them, only accepting one part of it, that earlier they used, most of these foreign tourists used to go for hiking, for jungle trekking, for skiing. I think skiing part in Gulmarg and all that can be covered, not an issue, but they will not be allowed in the remote areas. That part, I'm sure the security grid will be able to take care in Jammu and Kashmir. We have a very robust security grid. They may not be allowed to venture out in isolated and remote jungles and forests, those areas where there is no presence of security forces. Yes.
Right, absolutely. On that note, thank you to all of our guests once again for joining us to take this very pertinent conversation forward. Viewers, I've run out of time. I step into a very quick break.